What's up, Magic players? It's Doyle, your host here on DoylePrimeMTG, where I bring you the latest and greatest in Magic content that I can while still trying to have a life. This week, I'm proud to present our first viewer-requested deck tech. Shout out to Richard Bennett for the suggestion. Maja Bretagard Protector conjoins Landfall with Selesnya tokens, going wide for an unforgettable finish.
Forests, islands, mountains, plains, and swamps. The multiverse is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. There is a tingling in the spine, a faint sensation, as if a distant memory, of walking from plane to plane. Our lives have been forever changed, as if by magic. Embark with me on this journey to eternity. Experience the true power of mind over matter as we ignite your spark and traverse into the magic multiverse.
Maja Bretagard Protector costs 2 green, white, white for a 2/3 human warrior with other creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 white human warrior creature token. This commander combines 2 popular strategies, landfall and token generation. Through this deck tech, we will attempt to merge these strategies seamlessly for maximum fun. Landfall is a ramp-based strategy, so let's check out all the ways that we can ramp. First, we would like to include Exploration, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and Wayward Swordtooth, which will each let us play an additional land per turn. The Dryad will also help fix our colors. Nature's Lore and 3 Visits will tutor a land and put it right into play. Primal Growth and Harrow will each find us up to 2 basic lands and put them into play, each with their own additional cost. Harvest Season, Colony Heart Expedition, and Roiling Regrowth will each find us multiple basic lands and put them into play tapped. Avacyn's Pilgrim and Birds of Paradise can each ramp us on turn 1, while also fixing our colors. We can ramp while using lands with Blighted Woodland, Myriad Landscape, and Crozan Verge. We will also include some ways to play these from the graveyard for repeated landfall triggers. Cryptolith Rite and Sentinel Hierophants will each allow all of our creatures to tap for mana. Lotus Cobra and Tireless Provisioner will each generate us a mana each time a land enters our battlefield. The Provisioner even lets us save this mana for later, since it generates treasures instead of pure mana. Karametra, God of Harvest, will tutor for a forest or a plains card into play tapped each time that we cast a creature spell. Finally, Circle of Dreams Druid and Ashnod's Altar will embody the big mana slots in our deck, foregoing a Gaia's Cradle just because we can. We will use our creature volume to our advantage, while keeping our budget much more reasonable. What good would all this mana be without spells to spend it on? Drawing cards to accelerate our game plan will keep us with options in hand. Mentor of the Meek allows us to pay mana to draw a card each time a creature power 2 or less enters the battlefield, while Tireless Tracker will allow us to pay 2 mana to draw a card on a landfall trigger through clue generation. With all of the expendable creatures that we have, Toski, Bearer of Secrets, and Oran Frostfang will each let us utilize our army to draw a card for each combat damage trigger. Shamanic Revelation, Camaraderie, and Collective Unconscious will each draw us a card for each creature that we control, and the life gain is nothing to scoff at either. Keeping with that theme, Slate of Ancestry will draw us a card for each creature that we control each time that we're able to pay 4 mana, tap it, and discard our hand. We can also use Idol of Oblivion and Skullclamp to draw cards as well, right in line with the token theme. Don't forget that Maja's Anthem ability is a bit of a non-bow with Skullclamp, but we do have 4 sack outlets to combat that. We will now need to control the game space, utilizing spells and even lands to protect our strategy and to quell our opponents as well. Let's start with my favorite portion of our control package, land control. Crop Rotation, Elvish Reclaimer, and Knight of the Reliquary will each sacrifice lands to bring specific lands into play from our library. We can turn our basic lands into Wasteland or Strip Mine to ensure those priceless reserve list lands never see the light of day. I mean, unless you feel bad for your friend who spent hundreds of dollars on a single land card. Horizon Canopy will even allow us to draw cards repeatedly while we trigger our landfall permanents. And Riftstone Portal even likes to be sacrificed itself. Sitting in our graveyard, it fixes our mana perfectly. We can even use Emeria the Sky Ruin to return creatures from the grave in late game, or Yavimaya to make all of our lands count as forests, ensuring that we have all the green mana that we'll need. Or even Field of the Dead, a land that has a landfall ability to generate tokens. To top this all off, we will include Ramunap Excavator and Ancient Green Warden to allow us to utilize our Gravelane land cards. The Green Warden even doubles up our landfall triggers. That is a lot of control given to us through lands, which is our primary theme. Moving forward with the rest of the control section, Devout Chaplain can let us tap it and 2 other untapped humans we control to exile a target artifact or enchantment. This is a huge ball of removal bait. Super scary, mostly because Maja happens to produce human tokens. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, will help protect us from targeted removal, giving us, as well as our other creatures, hexproof. She can even boost them with +1/+1 counters, too. Along with its namesake Ruin, Emeria Angel will also allow us to return cards from our graveyard to either our hand or to the battlefield. Hour of Reckoning is an obvious board wipe to use, wiping up all the non-token creatures. The best part about this is that it has Convoke. We can tap all of our non-token creatures for the cost and then attack into a likely clean board state. Fanatical Devotion helps to keep our commander and other important creatures from certain death, sacrificing a creature to regenerate target creature. Evolutionary Leap can also help us sacrifice creatures, and in return, it will find us the next creature card in our deck and put it into our hand. Of course, we wouldn't be a token deck without our token doublers. Parallel Lives and Anointed Procession will each double any token production that we have going on, vastly increasing the size of our army. Though even more important, I dare say, is Glare of Subdual, tapping a creature to tap another target creature. This lets us grab the battlefield by the ear and steer combat ever in our favor. Our last sack outlet, Deranged Outcast, will allow us to sacrifice a human to give another creature a couple of counters. Finally, it becomes time to close out the game. Our commander has a landfall ability to make a creature token, so why shouldn't we have a bit of redundancy? Scoot Swarm makes insect tokens on a landfall trigger, and can get exponentially large in no time at all. Emeria Angel triggers on a landfall to give us flying bird tokens. Evasive creatures win games. Retreat to Emeria will generate us some small core tokens, or give our creatures a temporary buff. While Felidar Retreat will make us some 2/2 dinosaur cats, because magic is basically a meme now, but it can also give a permanent buff to our creatures instead through counters. Zendikar's Royal also landfalls to give us 2/2 creature tokens, with a much more reasonable creature type. Rampaging Baloths notably create ridiculously large beast tokens at the same frequency. And of course, Avenger of Zendikar makes plant tokens when it enters equal to our land count, and buffs them on each subsequent landfall trigger. Though it is not a landfall card, March of the Multitudes will slay in this deck, up to doubling our creature count at instant speed, right before our turn. With all these creatures and all these lands, variable power creatures play right into our hand. Wayfaring Temple has a power and toughness equal to the number of creatures that we control, and can help us populate on a combat damage trigger. Multani, Yavamaya's avatar, is a massive presence on the battlefield that also allows us to return it from our graveyard over and over again. Oran Reef Hydra becomes kill on sight very quickly as it grows and grows, eventually to trample over one of our unlucky opponents. We can even suit up a random token to get huge with Angelic Exaltation and Junkio Bell. Each of these provides a buff to power and toughness to a single creature equal to the amount of creatures that we control. These allow us to turn one evasive token into a death sentence. Though these tall creatures are scary, it is our wide board that will ultimately bring us victory. Beastmaster Ascension is a classic, giving our creatures a static +5/+5 if we have attacked with 7 or more creatures since it was put into play. Mirror Entity can work out nicely in unison with the Ascension, altering the base power and toughness of all of our creatures. And lastly, we can make all of our creatures evasive with Champion of Lamholt and Eldrazi Monument. Each of these allow our creatures to slide by most of all of our opponent's defenses and smash them for the win. The rest of our lands will help us fix our colors. Lotus Field taps for 3 mana of any color, only requiring that we sacrifice 2 lands when it enters. We will also include Command Tower, Arctic Treeline, Canopy Vista, Selesnya Sanctuary, Sunpetal Grove, and Temple Garden, leaving us room for 11 forests and 9 plains. That about wraps it up for this deck tech. I hope you enjoyed the video. You'll find the link to the full deck list on arcadeck.com in the description, complete with a maybe board. Let me know in the comments below if you would take this deck in a different direction, or if there are any key includes that I missed. Cheers, and happy casting. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit that like button, and also share it with your friends. If you want to see more videos like these, or hear me ramble about how to navigate this Magic multiverse, go ahead and click that subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest from me, Doyle Prime, and the happenings throughout Magic the Gathering. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you all next video.